My mother was sold to a brothel while pregnant with me. She feared being discovered, so she bound her belly tight with a breastband. But a secret cannot be hidden forever. The madam found out. My mother threw herself at the madam's feet, clutching her belly, begging for my life. The madam studied her face, then smiled. Such a rare beauty. Buy one, get one free. I'd say I've made a bargain. That single compliment, a rare beauty, saved me. The madam, Madam Huang, broke her own rule and let my mother give birth to me. The other girls whispered behind our backs that Madam Huang played favorites, that she was ruining the spring scenery brothel's reputation. For it was an old rule: no brothel girl may bear a child, unless, of course, she paid a full year's earnings, every silver coin she could earn from clients to the madam as a childbirth fee. That meant losing a year of prime income. And in this trade, youth was everything. If you didn't save while young, you'd end up worse than a stray dog in your old age. Almost no one ever chose that path. Moreover, if a brothel girl bore a client's child, it would break the unwritten taboo. No man would dare set foot in that house again, though my mother had not conceived within spring scenery. The other girls feared that my birth would taint them all and drive away business. They grumbled openly. Madam Huang said nothing at first, then calmly replied, "Yes, I favor her. But if any of you can match her beauty, I will favor you too." No one argued after that. In this trade, youth mattered, but beauty mattered more. My mother was breathtaking, like lotus fresh from water, unadorned yet radiant. The moment Madam Huang saw her, she knew she had found her cash cow for the next decade. When the flesh peddler sold my mother to her below market price, Madam Huang asked no questions about her past. My mother once whispered, "Aren't you afraid of getting into trouble, Madam?" Madam Huang smiled slyly. "In our line, we seem lowly, but our webs of connection run deep. Not just anyone can crush us. I care only about silver. The rest is none of my business." She glanced at my mother's belly. "As for that child, if it's a boy, I hold a rare treasure. If his father comes looking, I hand him over and profit handsomely. If it's a girl, even better. Another little money tree for me." Madam Huang laughed, certain she had struck a perfect deal. After 9 months, I was born a girl. My mother was disappointed. Not because she favored sons, but because if I were a boy, that man would surely take me away, lift me out of this hell. But as a girl, I would become Madam Huang's next cash cow, destined to be shared by 1,000 men. For my mother had been sold to spring scenery, and her daughter belonged to spring scenery too. Until I was 5, I lived in the brothel's back courtyard. My mother forbade me from going to the front, but I was curious, and when she was with clients, I'd sneak to the front to watch the pretty ladies laugh and chatter, while men stuffed banknotes into their bodices like mad. I envied them. At home, I dressed up and imitated their coquettish moves. One day my mother caught me. She nearly broke down. It was the first time she ever hit mesh struck me until I wailed. Then she turned on herself, slapping her own face again and again, until blood trickled from her lips, muttering, "It's my fault. I'm worthless. I'm sorry, my child." I was too young to understand, but I hugged her clumsily. "I was wrong. I'll be good. Please don't hurt yourself." We wept in each other's arms. From that day, I never mimicked those ladies again. Soon after, my mother rented a small courtyard next to the brothel and moved me there. Madam Huang didn't care. As long as my mother paid her share. My mother had always kept some boundaries with clients, but after that day, she took any man, any age, any looks, any station, as long as he paid well. She earned more and more silver, but grew thinner and thinner. Once, I accidentally saw her changing clothes. Her back was a mosaic of bruises, purple footprints that must have been stamped with full force and scattered among them scars from hot pipe burns. Horrifying. I clung to her, sobbing. I wasn't stupid. I knew what those marks meant. She held me tight and whispered, "It doesn't hurt. Mother is fine. You just grow up well. When I've saved enough, I'll buy your freedom. Then you'll marry a simple farmer and live an ordinary life." That year I was 8. I already understood the unspoken part. My father was no ordinary man. One night, my mother drank alone under the moon, grieving, drunk. She sobbed and cursed a name. I listened carefully until I made it out. Song Yancheng. How many Song Yanchengs were there in the capital? But the most famous one everyone knew him was the Grand Tutor himself. Song Yancheng, renowned for his integrity and virtue. After that, I spied outside his mansion for half a day and finally saw him leave. One glance was enough. Was my father. We looked alike, but in his arms he held another daughter. I knew her name. Song Jixin, his only acknowledged child. They laughed together. She adorable and pampered, like a celestial maiden. She whispered something in his ear, and he laughed heartily, pinching her cheek fondly. They walked right past me, not a single glance my way. I felt a pang of loss, but not heartbreak. I didn't have a father, but I had the best mother in the world. I knew her suffering, so I threw myself into embroidery, selling handkerchiefs to earn coin. 10 more handkerchiefs meant one less time she had to endure abuse. Year after year, we scraped together enough silver. By my comingafage at 15, we finally had the full ransom. When we handed the silver to Madame Huang and got back our 2 freedom papers, my mother and I embraced and wept. The other sisters wept too. They pressed jewelry, clothes, and silver into our hands. Once you leave, never look back. Live well. Never trust a man. Take care. Whatever quarrels they'd had with my mother before, in that moment they wished us well. That night, we slept in each other's arms, dreaming of a new Lifia little house, a few chickens, a pig, a vegetable patch. We smiled at each other, full of joy, and only fell asleep in the early hours. I woke at noon the next day. I called for my mother, but she didn't answer. In the kitchen, porridge was still warm on the stove. She must have gone out to buy supplies for our journey home. I drank the porridge and waited, but sunset came, and she hadn't returned. Frantic, I searched everywhere, every alley, every street. Finally, I went back to Spring Scenery and begged Madame Huang for help. She knew the underworld better than anyone. She didn't hesitate. She sent people out at once. An hour later, a man returned. His face was ashen. My heart sank. Willow is dead. Those 4 words shattered me. Darkness swallowed my vision. Scenes of our life together flashed before my eyes, ending with my mother in her youth, standing afar, smiling and waving goodbye. I tried to run after her, but tripped, and watched her dissolve into stars. Then I woke. It was the next day. Madame Huang sat by my bed. She told me everything. My mother had gone to buy pastries. She accidentally bumped into the Grand Tutor's daughter, Song Jixin, knocking her jade pendant to the ground and chipping it. Song Jixin flew into a rage and ordered my mother's leg broken. That should have been the end of it. But then the Grand Tutor's wife arrived. She took one look at my mother and ordered her beaten to death on the spot. No one knew why. The official reason: the pendant was an Imperial gift, and breaking it was a capital crime. No one dared intervene. My mother was beaten to death in the street. Child, accept your fate, Madame Huang said heavily. We are born lowly. Others are born noble. That's just how it is. Cry if you must. I didn't cry. I looked her in the eye. Madam, you know about my mother and the Song family, don't you? Tell me. Her eyes flickered. You want revenge. I nodded. She gasped. You're mad. That's suicide. I smiled bitterly. Even if it kills me, I will get justice for my mother. She sighed and finally spoke. Your mother lived a tragic life. After buying my mother, Madame Huang had done some discreet digging. She knew most of the story. My mother and Song Yancheng were childhood sweethearts, betrothed since youth. He was poor, his parents sickly. My mother sewed and mended to pay for his schooling and his journey to the capital for the Imperial exams. They married before he left. He was gone 3 years without word. My mother cared for his aging parents until they died. When she finally traveled to the capital, To find him. He had already remarried the daughter of the chief examiner. He told her, "My mentor's kindness is immense. I cannot betray his daughter. Willow, my career is rising. I cannot let anyone know of our past. For my sake, bear it." She became a concubine. Meek and obedient, but the first wife was cruel. Once, when Song Yinchang was away on business, the wife stormed into my mother's room, planted a man's undergarment, and accused her of adultery. She had my mother sold to a flesh peddler with strict orders. Send her to a brothel. Let her be defiled by 1,000 men. After Madame Huang finished, I asked, "Do you think my father knew she was innocent?" The question was foolish. Of course he knew. He was the grand tutor. She had earned silver for his studies, mourned his parents for 3 years, endured everything. If she had wanted to betray him, she would have done it long ago. Any man with a shred of conscience would not have left her waiting 3 years in the countryside. The first wife's scheme succeeded because Song Yinchang allowed it to protect his reputation without dirtying his own hands. Madame Huang pleaded again. "Your father is grand tutor. His wife's family is powerful. Their daughter Song Jixin will be Empress next month. Forget revenge. Your mother wouldn't want this." I looked at her steadily. "Madam, I want to enter the palace. I know you can help me, or rather, the man behind you can. You've been collecting intelligence for him all along, haven't you?" Madame Huang was right about one thing. I couldn't fight the Songs, but someone could. The one man in the realm who could. The Emperor. She stared at me, stunned. She hadn't expected me to guess spring scenery's true purpose. Finally, she said, "Give me a few days." 3 days later, a magnificently dressed young man came to my courtyard. He appraised me with faint interest, a flash of admiration in his eyes, quickly hidden. "How did you know Madame Huang gathers intelligence?" He was my only hope. So I answered carefully. I grew up in the back courtyard. From there, I could observe the front. Whenever court officials came for drinks, Madame Huang always seated them in 3 specific rooms: Plum Moon, Willow Moon, and Creek Pavilion. No matter how busy the brothel, those rooms were reserved for officials. I thought it was just flattery, until I noticed they looked larger from outside. Yet inside they were no different from the others. I guess there were hidden chambers for eavesdropping. He smiled. "You're clever. But what can you do for me?" "I can gather intelligence from inside the palace," I said quickly. He laughed and left without another word. I waited, anxious. A month later, Madame Huang came to me. "Prepare yourself. You enter the palace in half a month. My new identity: Lu Qingyin, daughter of the prefect of Jizhou. My rank: beauty, a low consort rank. Assigned to Fufeng Court." 3 or 4 other girls entered at the same time, all with the same rank. I blended in. Song Jixin had already been installed as Empress in Weiyang Palace half a month earlier. On my first day, a young eunuch whispered, "My master says Empress Song is too arrogant. He wants you to teach her a lesson." Before I could ask, he melted back into the crowd. I knew this was a test from the wealthy young man, but a mere beauty teaching the Empress a lesson. He had high expectations. Song Jixin was notorious ruthless, clever, and backed by her father. All the senior consorts bowed to her. The emperor himself called Grand Tutor Song Teacher, and most civil officials were his protégés. Song Jixin did as she pleased. She once beat to death several maids just because the emperor glanced at them. She could revoke any consort's bedchamber privilege on a whim. Everyone walked on eggshells, especially us new girls. So my task was daunting, but I loved challenges. To destroy the Song family, I needed that man's support. I had to prove my worth. On my second day, I secretly spread a rumor. The new beauty of Fufeng Court, Lu Qingyin, boasted that because she resembled the Empress, she would surely win the emperor's favor. Within a day, the rumor swept the palace. Curious eunuchs and maids loitered outside my courtyard, craning to see if I truly looked like Song Jixin. I sat openly in the yard and let them stare. The rumor reached Weiyang Palace. On the 3rd morning, an empress's maid came for me. The Empress summons you. I followed. At the gate, I was told to wait. Half an hour passed. Then an hour. Finally, a junior maid came out. Her Majesty is busy with other ladies. Kneel here and wait. I obeyed. Kneeling at the gate, the palace doors were open, and laughter drifted out. Sister Empress is merciful. That little upstart deserves severe punishment. Indeed. Such trash sullies the harem. I hear she's from Jizu barbaric folk. Low-bred women. I heard every insult. But I stayed calm. Head bowed. I knew this was a public warning. After about an hour, a matron finally said, "Her Majesty will see you now." I struggled to rise. The matron sneered. Inside, Song Jixin sat enthroned, surrounded by consorts. She looked regal in her phoenix crown. But her eyes were sharp. When she saw my face, she frowned. She, too, noticed our resemblance. "Greetings, Your Majesty." I bowed. She smiled coldly. "I heard rumors that you look like me, but seeing you now, I don't see much resemblance." The other consorts chimed in. "Her Majesty is peerless. How could this one compare? A poor imitation. Shameless talk." Song Jixin waved her hand. "Since you lack discipline, you must be punished. Lest I be accused of lax governance." She nodded at the matron. The woman strode over and slapped me across the face hard and fast. I could have dodged, but I took it for my plan. Some consorts giggled behind their sleeves. Song Jixin sneered. "That face of yours disgusts me. Today's lesson is light. If you ever dare stir trouble again, I'll make you wish you were dead." Then she added, "Since your face is injured, your bedchamber token is suspended." No need to risk offending His Majesty. That was a death sentence without the token. I could never serve the Emperor. A consort who couldn't serve was doomed to wither away. The other ladies shook their heads pityingly. They saw me as dead already, but I smiled inwardly. I felt the dull ache in my chest. Time for my move. I looked up at Song Jixin and cried, "Please, Your Majesty, spare me." Then I spat out a mouthful of black blood and collapsed. Unconscious. Chaos erupted. Song Jixin stared in disbelief. A trembling consort pointed at the black blood. "Is she poisoned?" Everyone's eyes turned to the Empress. Had she just poisoned a fellow consort in broad daylight? I was carried back to Fufeng Court. Imperial physicians arrived. I was not truly unconscious. I heard everything. Song Jixin ordered the matron who slapped me to be detained and interrogated. And she told the physicians to do their utmost, putting on a show of fairness. Clever girl. She had already planned to sacrifice the matron if needed. But the poison would leave no trace. It was a rare barbarian concoction. Given to me by a sister at Spring Scenery. 1 dose caused poisoning symptoms. 2 caused pseudo-death. The barbarian client had given it to her so she could fake death and run away with him, promising marriage. She scoffed. A man who wouldn't even pay her ransom couldn't be trusted. In my haze, I heard someone announce, "His Majesty arrives." A golden-robed figure entered. I stayed still. I felt his gaze on my swollen face. "Empress." His voice was ice-cold. "I entrusted the harem to you. Is this how you manage it?" That single sentence told me I had guessed right. The Emperor had long resented Song Jixin. He was a young ruler, eager to assert himself. But the civil court was controlled by Grand Tutor Song. As long as Song held sway, the Emperor was a puppet. And having a Song woman as Empress was the final insult. No sovereign would tolerate being overshadowed. He couldn't strike at Song in court but in the harem. He had power. Minor offenses like revoking tokens or beating maids weren't enough. But poisoning a consort, that was different. So he issued 2 decrees. First, strip Song Jixin of harem authority and give it to consort Shu. Have the matron who slapped me beaten to death. And confine Song Jixin to her palace for 3 months. Second, promote me to Imperial companion Jeyu as compensation. The palace buzzed with gossip. On the 3rd day, I awoke. The Emperor visited, sent gifts, and came to Fufeng Court every night for 2 weeks, either dining or summoning me to bed. I became his new favorite. Then the young eunuch returned. My master is pleased. As a reward, he will grant you one request. I held up 2 fingers. 2 things. He hesitated. I must consult him. I nodded. 2 hours later he came back. He agrees. But in return, he will ask one thing of you in the future. And you must give it your all. I agreed. That was fair. I handed him a sealed letter. The first request is written here. The second I'll tell your master myself when the time comes. As he turned to leave, I said casually, how is the prince's health lately? He instinctively replied, His Highness is well. Then he froze. Horrified, I waved him away. My guess was confirmed. That night, under a full moon, the emperor had gone to Consort Shu. I went to bed early and ordered all servants to the outer courtyard. At midnight, I heard a faint rustle. A shadow landed beside my bed. My heart jumped, but I relaxed. I knew who it was. How did you know my identity? He asked. In the moonlight, I saw his face, the same aristocratic young man. He wore that faint smile, but his eyes were sharp. I smiled. I asked for 2 requests as a test. The eunuch couldn't decide. He had to report to you. The round trip from Fufeng Court to the palace gate and back took under 2 hours, meaning you live near the palace. Only royalty live that close. Among royal princes, the one who plants spies and runs a brothel for intelligence is none other than the emperor's younger brother, Prince Su, Xiao Yu. I had also tricked the eunuch earlier to confirm it. He grabbed my throat. Eyes cold. Aren't you afraid I'll kill you? I didn't struggle. I wrapped my arms around him. I am already your person, so why would I fear you? He snorted. I'll grant your first request. What's the second? Give me a child. He stiffened, then laughed. Ambitious. You're in favor? No, you'll have a child eventually. Aren't you afraid my brother will find out? I smiled. Everyone thinks I benefited from the poison incident promotion. Favor. Bedchamber rights. But the real beneficiary was Consort Shu. She got harem authority. I am just a decoy. A shield for her. The emperor is using me. So if he is unkind, why should I be loyal? He laughed. Clever. But why should I give you a child? Because you want to be emperor. I said plainly. His eyes narrowed. But he didn't deny it. You have the ambition to rebel. Don't you have the nerve to spend one night with me? Or are you incapable? I glanced downward with a taunt. A crude provocation. But it worked. He pinned me down. I kissed him. And I felt him tense. His Adam's apple bobbed. And I heard him swallow. The aphrodisiac incense I had prepared was taking effect. He lifted me. And we spent a passionate night. I deliberately made sure he took me many times. I was sure I would conceive. The palace changed quickly. The next morning, news came that Grand Tutor Song had fully supported the emperor's personnel reshuffle in court. The emperor was overjoyed. At noon, he lifted Song Jixin's confinement and returned harem authority to her in time for the mid-autumn banquet. Everyone understood. As long as Grand Tutor Song stood, his daughter's position was secure. That afternoon, Song Jixin summoned me. The palace watched to see how we'd clash. Most thought I was doomed. But this time, Song Jixin didn't rage. Instead, she smiled. Long time no see, Companion Lu. You look radiant. I'm glad the poisoning didn't harm you. Her words were pleasant. But the barb was clear. She hadn't forgotten the poison. I curtsied. You flatter me, Your Majesty. She smirked. You went to all that trouble. Set such an elaborate trap and here I am. Still untouched. Frustrating, isn't it? My father is the Grand Tutor, the highest minister. As long as he lives, I am unshakable. Your little schemes are nothing. But I'll play with you until you beg for mercy. I looked at her calmly. Can you be certain the Grand Tutor will always support you? She scoffed. I didn't argue because my next move was already in motion. 3 days later, rumors flew. Grand Tutor Song had an illegitimate son who had come to claim his birthright. The news spread across the capital within a day, reaching even the emperor. My first request to Prince Su had been to arrange this lost son drama. He found a young man with a slight resemblance to Song Yenchang. My mother had been pregnant when Saldi knew the Grand Tutor, and his wife must have known. He had never cared about that child. But now, in his old age with only one daughter, he desperately wanted a son to carry on his line. If such a son appeared, he would embrace him, and between his wife and Asoni knew what kind of man he was. As predicted, he investigated. The trail led to spring scenery. Madame Huang and the sisters all swore my mother had given birth to a boy with Prince Su's covert help. The evidence was airtight. Song Yenchang believed it completely. He insisted on bringing the son into the family. The son then demanded. Only one of them, him or the first wife, could stay in the house. Song Yenchang, having risen far above his wife's family's influence, no longer needed her. He needed an heir. He sided with his new son. The first wife raged, fainted multiple times, even came to the palace to cry to Song Jixin, distracting the Empress entirely. I smiled coldly. This was only the beginning. Then came news. My monthly cycle did not appear. I summoned the Imperial physician. He felt my pulse and beamed. Congratulations, you are with child. I was relieved. The Emperor was ecstatic. He promoted me to noble consort Pin and ordered the entire medical bureau to guard my pregnancy. No wonder had been on the throne for years. With many consorts but no heirs, a ruler without a son was vulnerable. My pregnancy was a national blessing. After he left, Song Jixin arrived with a grand retinue. She took my hand, her sharp nail guards digging into my skin. Sister is truly blessed. None of the other sisters have conceived, you got there first. Her face was twisted with rage. I felt pure joy. That night, Prince Su came. He frowned at my belly, studying it. Why does it look unchanged? Not enough nutrition. I smiled. It was only a month along. Tomorrow I'll send a maidservant skilled in martial arts to protect you. Be careful, he said, then added, don't take unnecessary risks. I'll handle the Song family. Just rest and keep the child healthy. He paused, then realized. Lu Yuan nerded you scheme for this from the start. You knew that if you bore my child, I'd have no choice but to help you destroy the Songs. I didn't deny it. Instead, I asked, aren't you worried this child might actually be the Emperor's? He scoffed. He can't have children. I wasn't surprised. I had smelled Tingyang herb, a contraceptive used in brothel dishe's in the Emperor during our nights. It also tonified the body, but it prevented conception. That was why I had seduced Prince Su. I needed a child to wield as a weapon. Before my pregnancy was stable, the first attempts came. A maid tried to bump into me. The cobblestones outside my courtyard were replaced with slippery pebbles, and someone added saffron to my calming tonic. I had expected all this. I faked drinking the adulterated tonic, causing a palace uproar. The Emperor smashed his inkstone in fury. The physicians saved the child. Everyone suspected Song Jixin, but no one could prove it. The Emperor couldn't touch Song Yenchang, but he purged the harem, rooting out Song's spies and having them beaten to death. A few days later, a doll with my name and needles stuck in its belly was found in my quarters, a curse of black magic, abhorred by emperors. The Emperor was furious, but this time he said nothing and sealed the matter. I burned the doll myself. It had taken me days to make. When Prince Su learned, he sent word, consider this a down payment. The next night, palace guards spotted a shadow fleeing Weiyang Palace. They gave chase but lost it. Surrounding the palace, they searched and found a man's undergarment in Song Jixin's bedchamber. She screamed innocence, but the Emperor was enraged and threw her into the cold palace. I knew Prince Su had staged a repeating the same slander that had destroyed my mother. After Song Jixin was imprisoned, the first wife pressured Song Yenchang to save her, but the son threw tantrums, threatening suicide if his father interfered. Chaos reigned in the Song household. The turning point came when the son was ambushed on the road and nearly killed. The assassin's blades were deadly. He survived only because the prefect's men arrived in time. Song Yenchang was livid in demand. At a full investigation. I thought Prince Su had arranged it, but he later told me it was the Emperor who, fearing for his unborn heir, had decided to wipe out Song's progeny. The prefect uncovered clues but dared not report them. I suggested to Prince Su that he frame the first wife. He did. And the prefect was grateful. Song Yinchang had his wife confined to a country estate, with Song Jixin in the cold palace. The first wife imprisoned, and Song Yinchang occupied with his new son. I was left alone to carry my child. Under the physician's care, I gave birth to a healthy prince. The emperor was overjoyed and promoted me to imperial consort Fei. With an heir. The court clamored for a crown prince. The emperor shelved the petitions, saying he would decide later. I understood. He planned to keep the child and dispose of me, favoring consort Shu. She visited often, bringing tonics and cooing over the baby for hours. Her eyes burned with possessiveness. Her soups contained herbs that promoted blood circulation, beneficial for normal people, but for postpartum women, they could cause fatal hemorrhaging. I knew it was time for Prince Su to act. That night, I showed him consort Shu's tonic. He played with the baby, his face glowing with paternal joy. "Are you asking me to rebel?" he asked. I smiled. "Haven't you always been planning that? Now is your best chance." "How so?" "If you killed the emperor and took the throne, even if flawless, you'd be suspect. But if the emperor dies suddenly, and you install the little prince as the new sovereign as his uncle and regent, no one will question it. The throne stays in the emperor's bloodline." He stared at me. "You have a silver tongue. What makes you think I'll hand the throne to a child who's my son? Why should you benefit? He is your son too. Him on the throne is no different from you on it, except he can't rule without you." He mused. "And if he grows up and tries to kill Mai's biological father?" I took a breath. "If he can kill you, then he surpassed you. You should be proud. If he can't, then you have nothing to fear." He laughed heartily, pinched the baby's cheek, and turned away. "I've fallen for your schemes, Lu Yuaner, but I like it. I'd like to see what it feels like to raise my woman to the position of Empress Dowager." With that, he left. A month later, the emperor collapsed with a bloody cough in court. The physicians called it exhaustion. He never woke and died a month later. Consort Shu was made to accompany him in death, a forced sacrifice. Prince Su, as regent, led the ministers to enthrone the infant prince. On the day of the new emperor's enthronement, I walked past the civil officials, holding my son. When I passed Song Yincheng, I glanced at him. He had aged. It was time to finish him. At the first imperial court, Prince Su brought the first wife who had been confined on the estate into the hall. She publicly accused Song Yincheng of selling offices, cronyism, and embezzling tens of thousands of taels from disaster relief. She produced ample evidence she had been saving it for years. Prince Su struck swiftly. Song Yincheng had no defense. He was thrown into the death row prison, scheduled for autumn execution. The first wife, as an accomplice, was imprisoned too. Why did she turn against him? Because I had sent a maid from Weiyang Palace to tell her. If Song Yincheng dies, Song Jixin lives. 3 days later, I walked into the dungeon to visit Song Yincheng and his wife. They were haggard, unrecognizable. When they saw me, confusion turned to realization. Song Yincheng lunged at the bars, shouting, "Vile woman, it was you, all you." I sneered. "Hello, my dear father. My name is Lu Yuaner. I give you greetings on behalf of my mother." The first wife shrieked. "What have you done to my Jixin?" I smiled. "She broke my mother's leg, so I repaid her double. I broke both her legs. I won't kill her. I'll let her live." She rattled the bars, screaming curses. Song Yincheng, calmer now, pleaded. "Yuaner, my child, I looked for you all these years. It was all that Chedeville's doing. I knew nothing. Save me, and I'll spend my remaining years making it up to you." I laughed bitterly. "Song Yincheng, I despise you. If you cursed me, I'd at least respect your backbone. But this grovel injury worse than a beaten dog." His face turned purple. He spat blood. The first wife kept shrieking. I said, "Every curse you utter, I'll break one of your daughter's fingers. Keep going, see how long she lasts." She clamped her mouth shut. eyes wide with terror. Well, I concluded, seeing you like this, I'm satisfied. After you die, I'll have your ashes scattered to the winds. As I walked away, I heard his weak cries. You honor. Save May was wrong. And hers. Please spare her, I beg you. I didn't look back. My mother had begged them once. Had they shown mercy? Outside, under the open sky, I whispered, Mother, rest in peace. Still, I failed you. You named me Yuan, meaning kite, wishing me freedom, but I am trapped in this palace. Yet I am content. Let us be mother and daughter again in our next life. In the 53rd year of Great Liang, the infant emperor ascended the throne, with Prince Su, Xiao Yu, as regent. His birth mother, Consort Lu, was honored as Empress Dowager. A general amnesty was declared, and all rejoiced. The end.